God says, I saw you when you almost gave up. I saw you in the early morning light, sitting in that dimly lit room, holding your head in your hands as the weight of the world pressed down upon you. The morning sun was trying to peek through the frost-patterned window, but to you, it felt like another day of struggle you weren't ready to face. I saw the exhaustion in your posture, and the way the silence of the room felt heavy and suffocating. You were at the end of your strength, feeling as though every ounce of hope had been drained away by the pressures of a life that demanded too much. I looked at the desk where your life seemed to be unraveling. I saw the messy pile of unpaid bills that felt like mountains you could never climb. I saw the overflowing ashtray and the empty coffee mugs, the remnants of a night spent searching for answers that wouldn't come. Your phone screen glowed with missed calls, each one a reminder of a responsibility or a conflict you didn't have the energy to address. To the world, it was just a messy desk, but to me, it was a map of the burdens you were carrying all by yourself, a testament to the stress that was overwhelming your spirit. I saw your face, truly saw it. I saw the redness in your eyes from the sleepless night and the paleness of your skin that spoke of deep inner fatigue. Every heavy breath you took was a silent plea for help that you didn't even have the words to speak. Your heart was racing with anxiety, yet your body felt paralyzed by the sheer volume of your worries. In that extreme moment of isolation, the world outside continued to move, but inside your soul, time had frozen under the weight of a sorrow that felt too massive for one person to bear. You felt submerged in silence, lost in the shadows of your own mind. I watched as you stared blankly into the corners of the room, your thoughts spinning in circles with no way out. The atmosphere was thick with the weight of things left unsaid and problems left unsolved. In those moments, the silence isn't peaceful. It's a heavy, drowning force. You were drifting further and further from the shore of hope, feeling the cold water of despair rising up to meet you, wondering if anyone in the entire universe knew exactly how much you were hurting right then. The isolation of that room felt like a physical barrier between you and the rest of humanity. Long, dramatic shadows stretched across the floor, mimicking the way your fears were stretching across your future. You felt like a small island in a vast, dark ocean, completely alone in a world that seemed cold and indifferent to your pain. But I want you to know that even in that profound solitude, you were being watched with a love that never sleeps. The shadows may have looked long, but they were not the whole story of your life. Then came the moment of near surrender. I saw you lean back, your eyes closing for a brief second, as if to shut out the reality of your situation. And then a single tear escaped. It wasn't just water. It was the overflow of a heart that could no longer contain its grief. That tear captured the moment you felt like giving up, the moment the light seemed to go out entirely. It was a silent confession that you couldn't do this anymore on your own. A moment of vulnerability that was more powerful than you could ever imagine. Your hands, once strong and capable, were trembling as you picked up one of those crumpled bills. You looked at it, and for a second, the reality of your burdens felt so heavy that your fingers simply gave way. I watched that paper fall back to the table, a small symbol of your defeat. You felt as though you had failed, as though the world had won and you had lost. But what you saw as the end was actually the beginning of a different path, one where you wouldn't have to carry the weight by your own strength alone. But in that very moment of darkness, I was there. I appeared behind you, not as a distant judge, but as a sacred companion. I came in a form you could understand, wearing garments of white and soft gold that held the texture of eternity. I didn't come with a blinding, artificial light, but with a presence that hummed with a deep and ancient peace. Even though you couldn't see me yet, my presence began to fill the corners of that cold room, bringing a warmth that the sun alone could never provide to a frozen heart. I stood there, watching you with a soul full of compassion. My expression was one of gentle understanding, for I have known every sorrow and felt every pain that has ever touched a human heart. I didn't interrupt your moment of grief or demand that you stop crying. I simply stood by you, being present in your pain, as if I had been there from the very first moment you felt a heavy heart. My peace was a shield around you, even if you weren't yet aware of the grace that was standing just a breath away. I reached out my hand, hovering it just above you as if to offer a blessing. I didn't rush to fix everything in an instant because I respect the journey of your soul. I remained still, holding a space of love for you to step into when you are ready. That hand has carried the weight of the cross, and now it was ready to carry the weight of your worries. I was not there to judge the clutter of your life or the depth of your despair. I was there to offer a hand that would eventually lift you up from the ashes. Look at the contrast between the shadows you were living in and the light I brought with me. In the foreground, there was the darkness of your struggle, the cold blue of the early morning, and the gray of your exhaustion. But behind you, there was a glow of warmth and gold. This is the truth of your life. The shadows are real, but they are always surrounded by a light that is even more real. My presence was the bridge between the night you had just endured and the new day that was about to break in your spirit. And then something began to shift deep inside you. You didn't see me, but your spirit felt the change. I watched as your posture slowly began to relax. The tension that had held your shoulders tight for so long started to drop away. Your breathing, which had been heavy and labored, began to calm and find a steady rhythm. You were beginning to sense that the atmosphere in the room had changed, that you were no longer alone in the dark. It was a silent, internal shift, a surrender not to despair, but to a peace that surpasses understanding. The lighting in your room started to change, reflecting the hope that was rising in your heart. The cold blue light of the morning shifted subtly into something warmer, richer, and more golden. It was as if the sun had finally broken through the frost on the window, flooding the space with a divine glow. This light didn't just illuminate the room. It illuminated the path forward. The mess on the desk didn't disappear, but in this new light, it no longer looked like an impossible mountain. It looked like something we could handle together, step by step. I saw you look toward the window. In your tired eyes, I saw a small flicker of hope return. It was like a tiny spark in the darkness, a realization that the night was over, and a new day had actually arrived. You weren't the same person who had sat down in that chair hours ago. You had been touched by a presence that reminded you of your worth and your strength. That flicker of hope was the first sign of your healing, a promise that the heavy burdens you carried would not have the final word in your story. The camera panned up to my face, and I smiled at you with infinite kindness. I wanted you to know that you are loved beyond measure, and that your life is precious to me. My smile was a benediction, a sign of my eternal companionship. I have seen your struggles, I have heard your silent cries, and I have stayed by your side through it all. You are never, ever truly alone. Whenever you feel the weight of the world returning, remember this moment and the kindness that is always watching over you, ready to offer rest. As the scene fades out, I want you to carry this peace with you. Let it be a lingering presence in your heart, a reminder that companionship is always available, and hope is never truly gone. You have walked through the valley of the shadow, but you have found a friend in the darkness. Go forward now with a lighter heart, knowing that the God who saw you when you almost gave up is the same God who will lead you into the light of a beautiful new beginning. Rest in my peace, for I am with you always. Sometimes the road ahead feels endless, and the weight you carry seems too heavy for one soul to bear. Every step is a struggle against the gravity of despair as the world around you turns to shades of gray. You walk in solitude believing that your sighs are unheard, and your exhaustion is seen by no one. The damp air clings to you like the memories of yesterday and the fears of what lies ahead. Even nature seems to pull away, leaving you in a landscape of quiet isolation and shivering branches. You pull your coat tighter, searching for a warmth that the morning sun has yet to provide. A visible breath escapes your lips, a silent prayer, whispered into the biting chill of the morning. The rhythm of your footsteps is the only sound in the vast emptiness of the rural path. In the vastness of the world, you feel like a tiny silhouette, lost in an oppressive fog. You reach out for something solid to ground you in a world that feels increasingly distant. You thought you were alone, but I was walking beside you every step. I see the road you tread, and I know the weight of the burdens you carry in your heart. Even when you do not look up, my presence is a constant shield against the biting wind. My eyes are filled with kindness, for I have walked the paths of sorrow and known the depth of loneliness. I match your slow steps with grace, ensuring you never have to face the long road by yourself. I am the unseen strength in your weakness and the quiet comfort in your deepest grief. The tension of the day begins to fade as a hidden peace begins to wash over your weary spirit. I look forward to the path of your future, guiding you toward a light you cannot yet see. Every glance I cast your way is a testament to my enduring love and deep empathy for your journey. We walk together through the rustling leaves and the shifting winds of this life. Suddenly the shadows flee as the first golden rays of dawn pierce through the canopy of your doubts. The heavy sadness in your eyes gives way to a flicker of hope and a profound inner quiet. Transformation is happening all around you as the cold gray world is touched by divine warmth. Your posture rises as your soul recognizes the one who has been with you through the night. Look up to the horizon and see the new day I have prepared for you. Walk into the light knowing that you are never alone, for I am with you always. I was there in your lowest moment, when no one else understood, when the world felt like it was closing in on you. The silence of the evening reflects the stillness of a heart that has forgotten how to hope. You feel isolated, adrift in a sea of grief. You carry a burden that seems too heavy for any soul to bear. The weight of every tear, every unspoken word, and every broken dream. Your eyes search the horizon for an answer, but all you see is the fading light. The internal storm rages, contrasting the river's external peace. Then comes the breaking point, the moment when the walls finally crumble, and the pain you've hidden can no longer be contained. Your shoulders shake with the force of soundless sobs. The river continues its relentless flow, a symbol of time passing while you remain frozen. But even in this deep isolation, you are not as alone as you believe. A presence is approaching, steady and calm, across the soft grass. He does not rush your healing. He understands that some wounds require time, silence, and a witness who truly cares. He sits beside you, not to offer quick words or easy comfort, but to simply be there, to share the weight of your sorrow. In the sacred silence, a bridge is built. A bridge between your brokenness and his wholeness. He waits for the perfect moment to reach out. And then, a touch. A hand that has known suffering, yet carries the power to heal all things. A gesture of infinite empathy. Suddenly, the atmosphere shifts. The sharp edges of your agony begin to soften. You take a long, deep, shaky breath, sensing a change within. You lower your hands and see the world through tear-streaked eyes, but the darkness no longer feels so absolute. You feel the warmth of his presence. You turn to him, and in his eyes, you find an understanding that goes beyond words. A gaze that says, I have always been here. The river behind you begins to glow, reflecting the rising moon. The flow of the water now feels like a cleansing stream, carrying away the debris. Healing is not a destination, but a journey. And on this journey, you are never truly alone. The peace you sought has found you. Rest now in this promise. I was there, I am here, and I will be there for every step of your restoration. The earth was weary, and the soul felt the weight of 1,000 silent years pressing down upon the spirit. Every finger trace in the dust was a prayer for rest, a desperate reaching for a foundation that seemed long gone. Isolated in a vast emptiness, The traveler bowed beneath the heavy mantle of his own exhaustion. Yet, even in the depths of fatigue, a small spark of will forced the gaze upward once more. The eyes, clouded by the haze of a long journey, searched for a sign in the heat of the day. Nothing but the silence of the wilderness answered his call, stretching out in every direction. He scanned the distance, seeking meaning in the shimmering heat and the shifting sands of his life. Breath came in shallow gasps, as dry as the air that surrounded his parched soul. The sky offered no shadow, only the relentless glare of the sun that seemed to judge his every step. But then, a subtle movement stirred the stillness, a breath of air that felt different from the rest. The choking dust of despair began to settle, revealing a clarity that had been hidden for years. The harsh blues of the desert shifted, replaced by a warmth that did not burn but healed. Life, long thought dead in this wasteland, began to stir in response to an unseen presence. Ancient memories of peace became as clear as the horizon, sharpening before his very eyes. He felt it first in his spirit, a change in the atmosphere that spoke of grace and invitation. The lines of worry on his face began to soften, yielding to a peace he could not yet explain. Above him, the heavens themselves seemed to open, pouring out a light that felt like home. The barren ground responded with joy, blooming with colors that defied the drought. For the first time in a lifetime, the air was sweet, and the burden was lifted from his heart. The trembling ceased, the struggle ended. He was no longer fighting the world alone. Something drew his gaze, a quiet beckoning that compelled him to look toward the light. Across the vibrant garden that had appeared, his eyes found what they had always been searching for. There, sitting in the stillness of the transformation, was the shepherd of his soul. He sat as if he had been waiting since the beginning of time, draped in the glow of the eternal. Recognition flooded the seeker's heart, more certain than any truth he had ever known. The confusion of the journey vanished in an instant, replaced by a quiet, holy stillness. The master turned, and in that movement the world seemed to hold its breath. Eyes met eyes, and in that gaze every hidden hurt was seen and understood. A smile of unconditional love greeted the weary man, a silent promise that he was cherished. No words were needed. The silence between them was a conversation of the spirit. The light was not just around him, it was part of him, a purity that washed over everything. The seeker looked on, his tears of sorrow turning into tears of profound relief. A new spark of hope ignited within, brighter than the sun that had once scorched him. Those hands that held the universe now offered a gentle peace to one lonely heart. Together they sat, where the earthly met the divine, in a garden of infinite grace. The sunset over the mountains was no longer an end, but a glorious new beginning. Every drop of grief was washed away by the presence of the one who knew him best. Nature itself sang in harmony with the awakening of his soul, vibrant and full of life. In the center of this new world, the traveler found his home and his purpose. You didn't need proof. The very wind whispered the truth of this encounter to the trees and the mountains. The bond forged in silence was stronger than any word spoken by man. The golden aura of heaven descended, wrapping them in a light that would never fade. Your heart already knew I was there. And in that light, he was finally whole, finally at peace, finally home. In the quiet of the morning, where the world fades away, there is a sacred sanctuary prepared specifically for your soul's rest. Every drop of dew and every rustle of the wind is a testament to the peace that awaits you here. I didn't come to judge you. I have been waiting for you at the threshold of this new beginning. You have carried your burdens for so long, walking through the shadows of weariness and heavy-heartedness. Step into the light. Here, the weight you carry is acknowledged with nothing but compassion. Look at the life surrounding you. Even the smallest creature finds its place in this divine harmony. As we walk together along this winding path, feel the earth beneath your feet and the stillness in the air. You are no longer walking alone through the trials of life. Every rhythm of our stride is shared. Take a deep breath. Let the purity of this sanctuary begin to soften the tension you've held so tightly. I came to heal what you've been hiding. The wounds that no one else sees are the ones I wish to touch. Do you see the hope returning to your eyes? Like the morning sun, it rises to chase away the night. Just as this flower responds to a gentle touch, your heart is being restored in this very moment. My love for you is unconditional, ancient, and deep. I see your true self, and it is beautiful. If you are feeling this message, take a moment to like this video and subscribe, because this is your confirmation. This message is for you. This peace is your inheritance. Do not let it pass you by. Watch as the withered parts of your life begin to turn green again, nourished by divine grace. Reach out and touch the life that is being offered to you. The internal storm has finally subsided. There is a vast future ahead of you, filled with infinite possibility and my constant protection. The transformation is complete. You are radiant, reflecting the light that has replaced your darkness. Walk deeper into the heart of this sanctuary. The light will never leave you. Go in peace, for you have been restored.